few admin notes before we get started. There's emergency access to your left and right and to the rear of the building. The streams and water fountain are in the entranceway, and there's no food or drinks allowed inside the vehicle. Also, please turn your cell phones to vibrate or shut them off. Good afternoon, General Line, General Miller, Sergeant Major Legendary, and Sustainment leaders. Welcome to the 3rd Corps GCSS-Army Sustainment LPD. Today's LPD will cover various topics related to GCSS-Army Wave 2, including organizational supply, maintenance, and asset management. We also will be streaming the LPD today as well. So if at any point you have any questions or comments, please hold until the end when we can have a running microphone. Please ensure you have the microphone before you speak so we can capture the streaming audience. For opening remarks, I'm going to turn the floor over to 3rd Corps BCG Brigadier General Tim Rock.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Can you hear me better than you can hear him? That goes a bit on the speakers. So, first of all, welcome everybody. It's great to see such a good show. Those that are further back, I don't know whether you want to move further forward. I'll leave that to you or to some agents to decide whether you want to show. It might be up to you to do it better. I'm not going to take up much of your time. What I really wanted to say, first of all, welcome and thank you for coming. I know it wasn't necessarily optional, but I hope you'll find that it's useful. Also want to thank 310 VSC and everybody else who was involved in organizing this. And I mean, I don't have to tell you guys how important this is. I imagine that most of you have either been through Wave 1 or been somehow affected by Wave 1. So you already get a sense of, what this is all about. Wave 2, if Wave 1 was like, the bow wave on the Titanic, then Wave 2 is like the tsunami that hit Indonesia a few years ago. So we need to get prepared for it. And that's what this is all about, to make sure that rather than being inundated by the tsunami, we actually are in a good place, sitting, nice and safe on high ground, so that we can actually make this system work for us rather than being worked by it. So what I say is take this opportunity to pay attention to somebody whom I'm told is one of the subject matter experts in this area, and take the opportunity also to ask lots of questions of him once you have the opportunity. No question is a dumb question, because the chances are that anybody who feels silly asking a question, all the guys that are sitting around and think, thank God somebody asked that question, because that's exactly what I wanted to know. So it's, this is complex stuff. And we need to get under the skin of it. So you've heard enough from me because we've got important stuff to do. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Our guest speaker today is CW2 Bo Kemp. CW2 Kemp was assigned to the GCSS-Army project in Richmond, Virginia. His current assignment was with the 1st Cavalry Division, G4 Division Maintenance Office, assisting with all aspects related to GCSS-Army. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome CW2 Kemp.
First of all, everyone, this is General just said, thank you for coming out, taking your time. This is very important. I will tell most of you, before I started working with GCSS-Army 2 years ago, I first heard about it as a W1, about to be promoted to W2 in Afghanistan, and had no clue what it was. I had no clue how important it was until I went and met my boss, who was a senior W4 in Richmond, and he laid the law down to me about what was expected of me for the next few years. So it's pretty important stuff. So. All right, so the agenda today, Wave 2, conversion activities, migration, what a lot of people are feeling here, both goods and bads on Fort Hood, across 3 Corps. I'm also going to hit on the plant maintenance activities, so for not organizational supply or property accountability, but anything dealing with plant maintenance, if you're a 915, 91 series, I will touch on that at the end and we can go through that. So just keep that in mind for question and answer later on. Okay, migration data. I would tell most people in here before we get into the eaches and the ands that when you go into a maintenance section or you take over a property and accountability, if you are not matching what's in legacy system to legacy system, first of all, you're already setting your command up for failure. Okay, most of you know that. Okay, but it's very important now as we go forward to get that right, because now when you flip the switch on, it'll show us ugly face. It'll show us ugly face to people right here that's in the first row. Okay, that's when it gets really ugly, because we know people like maybe myself, or if you're an E6, E5 here down at the squad level, that you maybe weren't pushing the right data up to your leaders. So EDMO, okay, that is the Enterprise Data Management Office. You can go through LIW, establish your account, and even before you start pushing data up to the LSI, which is Northrop Grumman Information Systems, you can go in there and get a picture of what your unit's operating posture looks like as far as property book or maintenance. All right, and it's not something you have to wait until you're contacted by the PM. And I'll put this out a little further. If anybody in here wants to push battalion data, I wouldn't go for brigade data up early to see what your scorecard looks like. I can push it straight up to Northrop Grumman and get you an idea of where you stand as far as PBUs to SAMs matches right now. Okay, we're doing that with HHBN and we're in first cab, and I think it's going to help them moving forward. All right, data staging unit. A lot of people ask me what that is. So there's some real smart guys who deal with algorithms and all that other kind of business that most of us in here maybe only read about, that develop these programs that takes our data from SAMZ to G-Army, and they run it through what's called a data staging unit. Okay, from D-240 and all the way down to blackout, every 30 days you get an operating picture of where your unit stands as far as this data. The data matches, mismatches, templates, what have you, okay? And these guys analyze it. They have a team of people just like you and me in here. So I'm a maintenance guy. There's property book over this side. There's probably mixed in accountability people, different MOSs, business areas, whatever you want to call them, that look at these things. They've been here in uniform. They understand what we do. And they push this back out for you on EDMO to get an idea of where you stand. Okay. Last part is pretty important here. If your data is not managed and it is not migrated properly prior to D-15 and that go live switch causes, I can tell you this: if there's any maintenance managers in here, I don't think you're going to flip the switch on and realize that half of your fleet is administratively deadline because you didn't properly put into service. Okay, it's happened. I've been with seniors when it happens. It's pretty hard for a battalion commander or maybe even a senior maintenance manager to have that on their very first week in G-Army, which we should be there excited about learning how to use this system. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so many people here have probably seen this slide. I know we have some folks here in the front row from the MSCG4. They push this stuff out so we can all see what we're dealing with, what the procedures are, how EDMO access works, tools, LIW, PBUs to SARS, matches, and whatnot. This chart right here gives you an idea. If you don't have anything, an idea of how this system works, migration, of what you're looking at from day 300 all the way down to D-14 or 15. So, the important thing to remember here is that every one of us in here, as a logistics manager, even if you're in that spot as a lieutenant or a captain, you didn't come in to do that job. There's something we have to do. Okay, we have templates that have to fill out that are aligned with your organization's MTO. Okay, a lot of people who don't understand how to do these templates. The templates, they have instructions embedded inside these templates, so you really can't mess them up. Okay, and if you have problems with them, you can call myself. And I have my information up here at the end. We can walk you through how to do these things. There's several people, warrant officers, NCOs on this installation who know exactly what they're talking about, okay? They can get you to the people, to the successful side of this migration. As far as EDMO goes, I think I've already said this, but your EDMOs are based off backups from PGUs and SAMs, okay? Don't wait till the last minute. Follow these guidelines. These charts are out there. We've sent them out to everybody here, okay? Conduct these analysis before the team comes out here and before you start sending up from D240 all the way down to D-15, all right, to where the command actually sees it. And then you have to come into a brief and listen to somebody yell at you because we, me included, weren't doing the right thing, okay? All right, external user validation. So we'll back up way back to D-330, okay? This right here is a beforehand and after go live snapshot of what each business area, and when I say business area, I'm talking about property book, maintenance, and finance, HR, all that good stuff. This right here, so if you look where it says, it's got all these fancy T codes off to the right where it says Matt SIP. Another one down here says validate non-mission capable equipment. So this right here is what you're doing in legacy. Okay? And off to the right over here, that's right there is what you do inside of G-Army when you go live to validate all this equipment, data, master data, what have you, is correct. Okay, so that gets pushed out at all levels. And I know I've been pushing out to Fort Hood for 8 months before I even came here. I know it got pushed out because the people here care about what goes on here. Every single one of us here, and even the people above us, get this right the first time. So, leader involvement. Okay. So I'm going to tell some stories here about when I was at Fort Bliss this time last year for Wave 2 retrofit for 21AD. If anybody's familiar, background on 21AD. They were fielded a few years after 11th ACR. Maybe some people here are familiar with that. They went live, their Wave 1, and they went Wave 2, their full sweep. Okay, that's all business areas involved. They got a retrofit of about, I don't know, over 20 new processes within plant maintenance, okay, and property accountability last July. When I went out with a team of GS civilians, had a W5 with me, Colonel, several majors, we went out to do in a condensed time frame what Fort Hood is doing right now, except they got a new retrofit of just those business areas, okay. The very first day that we were there, the people that showed up to validate the files, they were all privates, okay? They were all E4 below. There was one warrant officer out of that whole, maybe two, that showed up to validate his data. So I'm quite certain had his colonel been there, okay, all right, he probably would have been too happy with that individual. That's why I say to everyone here, okay, it's definitely not for these gentlemen up in the front row. They're expecting us. Okay, we have to take ownership of this. If we don't, we fail not only our unit, we fail the big Army because $4-point-something billion, people. Okay, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of time. We got to take ownership of it. So, and for leadership in here who can affect it, okay, hold people accountable, set data managers at battalion levels, brigade levels, make them go to these meetings, talk to people like me, talk to Chief Rivera here, talk to, I work with CW3 James, okay, who knows a lot. Talk to these people. We can call CASCOM and ask a question on the spot and get you an answer. It's not hard, we just have to be engaged. So let's not fail each other. Okay, commander oversight, all right, this is not only, goes back to what I just said, but in the new system, okay? At the Department of the Army level, within the BIBW Business Intelligence Business Warehouse module, okay, where your reports are, these people can look down, whether they're GS or a warrant officer, would I say that, a material maintenance manager, they can look down into our picture right now, into our home, our organization, and see what we're doing. They can see what we're stocking. They can see what our thumbprint that we left, whether we're doing things right or wrong, okay? So it can happen. I've been there with these people in the Pentagon. They go in, they drill into how our organization's set up. They drill into a unit that just went Wave 1 who did good, and then a sister unit who may not have done so good, okay? So capabilities out, okay? We'll get into a little bit more of that not going to the plant maintenance. So help desk tickets, I must try to stay on this for a minute. Every morning at Northrop Grumman Tower in Richmond, Virginia, at 8:30 in the morning, myself, other capability developers who are there, and retired colonels that are GS employees as well as contractors go through each of our help desk tickets, okay, for about 3 hours. It's painstaking. It's painstaking because people they're not getting it right, okay? And that's even prior to going wave 1, okay, when you're converting wave 1 or you're converting wave 2. All right, so some of the things that you have to get right, okay? First of all, if you ever reached out to somebody like me, or you ever reached out to my battle buddy over here, okay? Not gonna name her name, she does a business in SSA, you're wrong, okay? These guys get paid by the ticket, and it's also very time consuming to go through a ticket when it's not annotated properly, okay? It's the same thing when you're writing a fault, okay, on a piece of equipment, right? If you do the wrong thing out online and you bring it to chief, I got to kick it back. Then I got to go find out what the right answer is through a phone call or possibly walking out to wherever, okay? It's even more important with this because it costs a lot of time and man hours for these contractors to go through these tickets. So find somebody who knows what they're doing, look through the right information, whether it's a slide deck or it's talking to me, submit the ticket at the right level. There's different impact codes that go into these things. Because if they're submitted properly, people like me, senior maintenance managers, GX employees who work on the project in Richmond, Virginia, they can go in and fix these processes where they get pushed into a release, which a release is equivalent to what we used to know as a skip, okay, in SAMs and Legacy, okay? These releases, once they're pushed out, they help us, okay? They refine processes. And that's what it's all about being a developer there. It's taking things that all of us here, hopefully as logistics managers at whatever level, know, bring them. We don't want the same thing as in Legacy. We want to make processes better for this ERP. So, and also, if you got soldiers under you, ladies and gentlemen, in a private, this happens all the time. They put a ticket in, and it's an impact code 1, which is the highest, which means your system has went down to its knees and can no longer operate. That's a problem, okay? You've got to address that. Don't put a ticket in without reaching out, okay? Because it's taken weeks to months to resolve tickets because people on the management level are doing their jobs. Okay, plant maintenance. This is for anybody who's 91 series. This also covers commanders in here, XOs, maintenance techs as myself, even some engineer guys will have some, say, if you got anybody here who deals with Patriots. Some of this stuff I'm going to talk about here is, so, all right. I think most people understand that KCVSAT can be used, does not have to be landline, into G-Army, okay? We are all connected. That's what this slide shows. SSAs have handheld devices that they use several different times. I've tested several different kinds. I have tested some being on the project. By the time most of us get filled at wave 2, the SSA may have different types of handheld devices, okay? But as far as some of the things you see here, 21AD, I promise you that they run off of KCV7 and they have very little problems, okay? So. All right, maintenance roles. And I'm going to try to talk about this a little bit to where everybody in here, regardless of whether you're property, SSA can understand this. So this person up here, which is me, maintenance manager role, they can do everything that's above them minus these standalone goals right here, okay? And the same way going up. If you're VP of display, you can't do the guy above you. Same thing with the property accountability tech. All right, or with the finance rep, or with an HR module, which we're not going to touch on that today. And it also kind of just goes over what rank you are over there in the school and where you would be expected to serve at, okay? Which a lot of this stuff is being taught at the schoolhouse as we speak. So you will have an idea of what you're going into once you come out here to the field. You may be way too high. So just remember that G-Army leaves a thumbprint, okay? It leaves a thumbprint in the can't pull my cat card out here, but on the back of your cat card, you have that EDI-PI number, okay? That's tied to every transaction. Every time you input a process in the GArmy, it's there. It's not going anywhere. People who have sustainment goals above some of us can drill down and see what you do within your organization, okay? So just remember, these roles, these hierarchies are here for a reason. They've been thought through. They may change for reserve in here. There are dual persona roles that some will use here for active duty. We don't have to worry about that so much. So there are dual persona for multiple cat cards, DOD identification, stuff like that. So another thing over here, if you're a maintenance guy, standing alone roles, master driver, commander's representative. It was never more frustrating when I was a sergeant or a staff sergeant, okay, or a W1, to know that I had people in my box giving somebody an illegal license because they're trying to do something to fulfill a mission, even though it's illegal, okay? You can't do that anymore because this person right here is the only one who can do it. I can't even do it as the man up top there unless I'm subbed into that role. And if I'm subbed into it, I'm taking responsibility for my actions by subbing somebody or myself into that role. And that's for a limited period of time as well. Okay, commanders, prep is the same thing, okay? We can't expect a captain, okay, who's in command, may not know much about GArmy to be able to do everything. He's got to have a right-hand man, and it's going to be that XO. It may be a lieutenant, okay? It may be another captain. But somebody is going to fill in that designated representative role right there. That's some things you'll see. And they can be swapped out as needed. And I think there's a year time limit as far as swapping people out. Okay, but that can change. So maintenance processes. So 90% of what a maintenance manager, soldier will see, PLL clerk, whatever you want to call them, equipment part specialist, can be done with inside the equip set right here, okay? That's your dashboard, right? Every one of these processes right here, starting with dispatching, moving all the way down to moving parts from one storage location or an S-load, can be done with inside this. So you're no longer having to click and go to different T codes. T codes are the transaction codes which help you move around in GArmy perform processes. You can do 90% of what us as maintenance managers need to do right here, okay? And I mean, it's too easy. There's radio buttons, there's icons that you touch to make these things pretty flawless, okay? You'll have to learn how to do it because in GArmy, like with a lot of ERPs, there's a lot of clicking, there's a lot of typing, but there is a ton of clicking. So people in here, you're good with your iPhones, you're good with your messing around with your computer during the day, you're going to get even better when you get on this system, okay? Because this is used by not just us. A lot of Fortune 500 companies use this. Just get used to it. So maintenance reports. Again, the equip set board. This is some things right here we can do. The biggest thing I'm going to touch on right here is your equipment status report, the 026. And I have a slideshow coming up to show you what it looks like. Okay, so right now, I work in the G4. I've been there for a few weeks, never worked up at a G4 before, but you wait on 026s. Okay, get them sent to you multiple times a day. All right, no longer do I have to do that. All right, I can, let's say that I work for Chief Rivera down here, okay? He calls me, he's new to the job, he puts out guidance about 026s, right? He needs them sent at a certain time. And I don't know, maybe I failed, okay? He can go into GArmy once we go wave 2, and he can pull the whole brigade's 026, okay? It may take 10 minutes to run because it's an ERP, but he can pull the whole brigade's 026, or he can pull your respective battalion's 026, or company, whatever level you want to drill down to. So, and also, right here, PLO 65, which is the inbound delivery monitor, that's just a T code when you go wave 2. Okay, it will save a lot of people in here heartache and time because you can see what the SSA has available for you in your bin to go pick up. Okay, you don't have to make a phone call. You don't have to go over there and send people, which that requires manpower. You can do all that stuff by logging onto your system and check it. It's easy as that. That's what we got computers for. So this right here, and I'm going to spend a lot of time on this. This is a 11-day CR 026. There's some changes on here, but this is what you'll see. Right? This is all near real-time data. And it works. 2-1 AD out at Fort Bliss runs their maintenance meetings, which I think is great, with the ESR, equipment status report. Okay, I don't have a picture of it up here, but if you've been inside G-Army at all, it's going to look like some of the reports that you generate, not inside the VIBW platform, but in the regular platform that you see every day. It's not going to look like this. So they run their maintenance meetings with it, which means the commanders down here, they have near real-time data to assess their unit's posture and how we got to go about planning. I mean, you can't beat that. Okay, so just remember that there's no more of a lot of waiting, a lot of guessing, a lot of manual input, manipulation, and all that type of stuff. Okay, it's not a reality. Okay, equipment master record in G-Army. I guess one guy who's real sharp on G-Army I used to work with, CW3, he called it like a Carfax report, okay, 24-8-9. It outlines all the warranty data, general data, configuration control, tells you the history of that piece of equipment, okay? You can drill down, you can see this thing from the time the PBO brought it into your equipment situation board in your unit, when you see it, up until the time that PBO removes it and places it in another unit through a lateral transfer. So, pretty good tool. All right, so again, back to the PBO. No longer can I go in and move or a maintenance manager, maybe somebody sitting here that's had to do it. I've had to do it before, I'm not going to lie. I can't move equipment in and out of my system. Okay, it has to be the property book officer. Oh, and by the way, going back to we'll hit on the migration right now. Anybody here who thinks that their sales box is right and the PBUs is wrong? No, the PBUs is always right when we do migration because they are the authoritative data source. ADS. Okay, you're going to hear it over and over and over as you go through authoritative data source. Don't think because I'm good and I know what I'm talking about and I stand up here, or your chief stands up there, or E7, and he says, man, my stuff's right. I know because I went out and he went out and validated that there may be a problem with the PBUs, okay? Just because the guy before him validated, it's still got to be checked on. It's still got to be physically looked at on either side. And we look at paperwork or however you do it in your unit, okay? There's several different ways. Just remember, PBO is the one who makes this call as far as bringing things into your equipment situation board in way to that us as maintenance managers at different levels can use. So, all right, field level maintenance terminology. MRP area on wave 2 right now, that's material requirements planning. When we go wave 2, for those of you in this room that will be here, okay, it's going to run 6 times a day, which means 6 times a day it's going to pick up requisitions and convert them and send them out to national if they need to be fulfilled. Because if not, they will get fulfilled through the SSA, through a stock transfer order back to your unit 6 times a day. So they will start at 08 and go all the way to 1800. Okay, so NTC, people who have been to NTC or 2-1, their MRP logic runs quite a bit different. Okay, so don't take what they do. If you're high speed in here and you know more than I do about SSA and stuff, that's not the way we're going to work here. Fort Bragg's doing the same thing. Their MRP runs 6 times a day. IPP, the second one from the bottom. I'm sure some of you know 700 and 138 tables dealing with subsystem. Patriot, the Wildstone project, we built a module for Patriot missile system reporting, okay? Same thing can be done down in the motor pool. If you need to swap out a piece from a system, okay, to make it FMC, and you have that piece to do a controlled sub, whatever you're doing, you have the option now to do it through this process, and it captures real-time NMC as well as FMC time, okay? And it doesn't lie either, and it's very user-friendly. So, Equipment Master, eventually, Equipment Master will be, as far as what I know, it will be managed above our level, LCMC level, and will be pushed through a process that hasn't been finalized in G-Army out to where the master records all up to speed. So tech status, again, this is maintenance manager type stuff, but it's good for all of us to know. All right, you still have your slash, your X, your circle X, all that. It's just called something else. Your operational status, FMC, NMC, that triggers AMIS reporting. AMIS reporting now is no longer done manually. It's done automatically, okay? You don't have to come in to do it. It does it for you, okay? And you can pull AMIS every day because G-Army is a near real-time ERP, and it's always there. All you got to do is log in and produce that report. You have measurement points within G-Army. So if you have an engine or a transmission, something that requires maintenance or a certain number of hours that it's allotted to run, okay, it captures that usage on those items, okay? And it needs to be implemented because if it's not, that degrades our fleet. It can tear us down when we're going to places like NTC, ARTC, Afghanistan, Iraq, okay? These items need to be tracked, okay? It's just, it wasn't done before, but it can be done now. Notification is the same thing as a fault, okay? It's a non-financial transaction, and it just captures that you have something wrong with a piece of equipment. It's no more than that. So, work order forward. So, when you go through G-Army and you set up your templates, okay, which is done, I'm going to back up just a little bit. When you set up your relationship templates in G-Army, which is what a lot of people are doing right now, that's your relationship hierarchy with not only your support within your local command, but your hierarchy above you with your Bravo company supported a BSB. Or if you're in a sustainment brigade, you may have a maintenance company there, okay? That is where work order forwarding comes in because when the PM, where you submit your templates to the PM, okay, and they get loaded, those force trees show up when you go wave 2 as your supported activity, and it has their name on a drop down that you can select from when you forward a work. I mean, that's easy. I mean, I've done it personally out of 2-1. You can't beat that to be able to forward a work order with the ease of the click of a button, and it goes to them, and now they're responsible once that piece of equipment goes there for that work order. They're even responsible during that work order to put maintenance out or man hours against those job orders before they send them back down, okay? And that's something called overall completion confirmation, which we definitely didn't have before, but we got it now. So let's say that we got Master Sergeant Nelson up here in the front row, okay? He receives a job order from me from, I'm in Golf Company, FSC, and Field Artillery Battalion. He works up NCOIC in charge of Bravo Company and 526 BSB in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. He receives that job order. It could be one day he's doing work on it. All right. Once he's done, he inputs man hours to overall completion confirmation within the work order up here. It's actually the PM2 work order type. You put in your man hours against it, send it back to me for me and my clerks or whoever's at however I'm set up to do the same thing on their end. Which, by the way, it drives the whole Army. Okay, they're going to start looking at our systems inside the ERP for IMTO, reductions, additions, authorizations, direct labor. I'm telling you, it's coming. All right, and I know it's coming because the people from Yusuf Imza, the Grievous Live, where I worked on G-Army, so it's important. Okay, you're going to have people out there who resist this, doing this, but man hours drives people that we have in our companies that we don't have in our companies. It's going to affect the Army, especially now that we're downsizing. So capture it. You know, find out where there's a gap, right? And you can do that through the work order process, closing it out. All right, so you have some terminology difference, which you do anytime we change some type of system. Okay, we're going from a stovepipe system here to an enterprise resource planning system. So, what's the first one? I already hit on the call notification order. System subsystem, IPPE, that deals with your 700-138 tickets. Okay, customer due out, that's a stock transfer order. So you have a 71 series number. Some of you have probably seen these numbers: 71s, 45s, 10s, 18s when you're in the wave 1 or 2. Okay, these right here are very important when you're talking about your customer due out, stock transfer order. You need to know what these things mean. Okay, the numbers are right there. We have guides that we send out, but understand what these things mean as far as legacy to G-Army data. It's pretty important, especially for the younger people. Okay, Rondon, soft pegging. All right, so I'm going to hit on this a lot because Fort Hood has really put in a lot of tickets about soft pegging. I don't get a Rondon when I should. Okay, it's pretty important. So, soft pegging. Try to explain this the right way so somebody comes across and comes out their chair after me. So, soft pegging is based on a material. Let me get this right. I want to read it, so I don't want to mess it up. I got my data over here. She might come after me. So it allocates the material to a demand based off the level of reservation. Okay. So if it's a low priority, non-dedicated, okay, there's not a lot of expectation with that. Okay. It can get rolled up with a customer or a resupply to the SSA. And you're at the mercy of what National has out there, especially if it's an ASL resupply. Now, if it's dedicated, okay, and it goes out by itself, you have a little bit more asset visibility where you can go through it's another transaction, but I'm not going to hit on that now. But you can track that part from cradle to grave, okay, when it's dedicated. So just remember soft pegging, okay, it's equivalent to Rondon, okay, but it works a little bit different. There are some issues within G-Army right now to where there are people who order O2 parts. They get rolled up with the ASL resupply, get pushed to a 12 priority. Logic doesn't work right. All right, it's being addressed right now at Northrop Grumman, so hopefully that's fixed before we go to wave 2 here. Oral reports. This is overhead report that you see over here on the right. You not only have that report to look at your reconciliation in the normal system, but you have it in the BIBW platform where you can customize your reports. You can send them up to the bosses here, use them at your level, let your soldiers use them. You can send or you can save these templates when you're in there so that every day when you go in there, they're the same thing, right? They look the same, they run the same, and they produce the same data for your commanders. All right, and again, for conversion, every one of us in here, we have to work together to get this right. We absolutely have to. If you're a PBO and you're not talking to your 915, W2, W3, W4, you're wrong. If you're not sitting down with a property book, matching it against what he has in his SAMS book, you're wrong. If you're not using the LIW apps to do this, you're wrong. You've got to do it, okay? It can be done. It can be done the right way to where we're not at D-20. We have certain units that have 700 all the way down to some units who have 200 errors, okay? And as far as the templates go, they have instructions embedded in them, all right? If you don't understand them, let myself know, some other people up here in the front, we can get your information out. I'm gonna put my information up in a minute. Ask the question, okay? If you're not sure about your customer forwarded work order support, if you don't know who supports you, just let me know, okay? We'll find out who it is. So when you send your template up, you get that green check mark. I don't have a sample template up here, but it'll have X's, greens, and warnings. But you don't have any warnings on those templates, okay? All right. It's very, very easy to do. They're easy to get right the first time. A lot of people try to rush. And again, even going back to the help desk ticket, if you don't ask the people at the lower levels how to get this stuff done, or even at the higher mid levels, it's going to have errors all the way from. I mean, we have a year almost to get this right. It's a year, okay? It's not quite a year, but it's almost a year. I know we're training. I know we're busy. I understand that, but it can happen. Okay. So the floor is your guys. I'm here for questions. We have a mic that will go around for any questions. Ask me anything. I know a little bit about property book. I don't want to hit too much on SSA Wave 1, Wave 2, as far as plant maintenance, anything. Yes.
What is a Wave 2 training start?
On Fort Hood. So, okay. So the question was, when does Wave 2 training start on Fort Hood? So approximately, I'm not going to get into the exact timelines, but when your unit is identified for Wave 2, whatever that is, are you over here with? Are you under 553? Oh, okay, all right. So when you get down into the D-120 range, okay, it's sooner to it's closer to fielding than that. You'll get contacted by the PM, and they'll come down here and they do a 2 to 3 week session for every business area. That's plant maintenance, which that's what they're going to call it. So if you see PM or PM, that's plant maintenance, property book, all that stuff. So it'll be within that 120. I think it's a 90-day range. So after 120, if somebody's not allocating rooms like this right here, or something smaller, you know there's a problem, because those respective teachers, who some of them are already here, and instructors, they're going to be contacting you, setting up. Do you have room? How many students? Have they done their G-Track training? Which it can be tracked who's completed it. If they haven't completed it, they might beat you up about it. Okay, they're beating us up over the cab right now. So yeah, 90 days. Anybody else?
Chief,
Yes.
telling us that the schedule for all units here.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, same thing. When I put the information, I guess I'll go ahead and put it up right now. All right. So just at the bottom right there, that's my my nipper. Just send me an email, and I'll get you put on the distro with CW4 Romero over here. He can push all that stuff out to you, so there's no guessing. All right. The exact timeline I don't have right here. It differs from fielding or from group to group. So, oh, also, one more thing before we go into any more questions. This last address down here is the G-Army site. It's the official site. It not only has the portal where you go log on to, but it has instructions to G-Track. It has fielding schedules. It has testimonies on there. It has stuff from all your COIs, what to expect. It even has the help desk link on there, okay? So the help desk is tricky, not only from what I went over earlier, as far as you've got to get down and not let a private put something in. It needs to be a maintenance manager putting it in, or a property accountability manager or SSA tech putting it in. But you also need that link in order to get on there and set your account up, because when these people contact you, they're going off your profile in S4IS as to where you work and what position you're in. So if you have it filled out wrong and they call you, they have no clue who they're talking to. So don't get offended. You know, go in there and set your account up, because you're going to put tickets in. I promise you. Tickets help not only us here, but it helps Northrop Grumman and CASCOM and Richmond make this thing better. And the more accurate information we get put up, it'll be better.
We have an online question from 190 Sustainment Command. The question is, what is the optimal manner to roll backup data? Sorry.
Can you say it one more time?
What is the optimal manner to roll backup data? Sorry.
So that's can you go in? Is that a wave 1 question? Can you find out if that's a wave 1 question? Anybody else? We can come back to it. Yep.
For men who feel that also to be trained with GCSS-Army.
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so MMIS, as far as what I know through working in on the project, MMIS is not going to go away for about 5 years. Okay, they're not going to sunset it, which means it's going to roll into G-Army for about 5 years. So everything will be tracked outside of G-Army, okay? So there's a couple other things people might ask in here that I might have some insight to, okay? But again, shoot me an email and I can get you, my stuff's up here and I can get you a definite answer. But my boss, who actually dealt with this as a side tasking before I came here, he works up at the Pentagon now. That's exactly his words out of my mouth when we talked 2 months ago. So it's pretty real-time data.
Same thing.
Yeah, because it's ready for me. They need a 920. Hey, you want to answer it? Yeah. So they're asking what's the optimal way to roll up SARS-1 data before you convert? So,
Well, as far as Wave 1 goes, each SSA should be doing a backup every single day. Each backup that you utilize, it provides a template for GCSS-Army and a link to upload that data from your backup to that GCSS-Army site so they can clean the data. So every day they should be doing a backup. So the roll-up will be that at the end of the day that you complete your operations. Once you do that, I think when we converted, it was the 10th of the month. They ask for that data. So that end of the day, the 9th, you go ahead and roll it up, send it up to the link provided from the GCSS.
okay. So it's essentially the same thing. The question was, what's the optimal way to roll up SARS data when you're going to Wave 1? Okay, and it's essentially the same thing that I said. When you do a backup, that data gets rolled up from 240 all the way down to D-15, okay? Once a month during that time, your units are getting a look at how if you're making corrections or if you still have a ton of errors. And that not only goes for mismatches, but that's your FE structure right there, your template, how your organization looks and how you're set up as far as personnel. And I'll tell you, I hit on this earlier. I'm here, I worked on the project. There's a couple other guys that maybe coming here who worked around. If anybody in here, it doesn't matter that I work at First Cab. If somebody wants to get an operation picture of how you guys look right now, send me a backup and I will send it to Northrop Grumman and let the lady up here, who I've known forever, look at it, and she'll send you back a scorecard. And it's before these guys see it. It's before they see it. So if you do that, and then you get to D-240 to where it's visible up here to the MSE G4 and then the G4 where I work, then you're not hurt, okay? I mean, it is very simple. We have a unit here that's about to do it right now because they're having so many problems, all right? You can't get better than that, and that's something, I didn't even come up with that, okay? That was offered to me by Northrop Grumman when I came out here. Is, hey, Chief, we'll do this for you so that this looks right before you have 1, 2, and 3 4-star generals that look at this stuff and go, man, what are we doing? You know, I know there's instructions out there, so just think about that. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yes, sir. Yes.
So our real dilemma with the conversion 1 is done, okay? And I say that because if you're still converting in 1, then everything's a workaround at this time. So it's OBE. But conversion 2 is ongoing, and what we're finding more and more is that units are waiting. This is really a 300 to 330 day process. But units are waiting until D-120 or D-90 to get on board to start changing things. And so whenever, by that point, it's so late in the game that it makes it very tough for units to convert. But every unit is going to convert in the United States Army. You're going to convert smoothly, you're going to convert really tough. And that's just the fact, the way it is. So I've got to tell you, up at the core, we were doing bi-weekly, and now we've dropped it until monthly meetings. The next one being on the 12th of August. And so we asked units to come up, send their data managers, send their OICs, and to come up, and we'll get on the phone or on the BTC, and we'll have the PM on the other end, we'll have FORSCOM on the other end, the DA representative. And we'll try to answer your questions for conversion. But yet, we don't get representation. We don't get it. And so I'm telling you this here is because that's the only way I know about trying to get answers for you. And it would be great if all of us had worked with this PM like this gentleman did for several years and had his knowledge base, but they're only one of them. But I'm going to tell you that we'll do anything we possibly can at the core, and right now we're tracking those units that, one, you have turned in the 4 necessary templates to convert, and we're monitoring the scorecards that comes out of EDMO on a monthly basis to see if you're actually converting data and changing it, or if you're doing nothing. And doing nothing sounds harsh because I know everybody else has a lot of other things going on. However, if we see that it's stagnant, we know that you're no closer to trying to get converted until it becomes the PM standing down here on the ground with a small team that will only be here for a very limited amount of time. And then as they get back on their aircraft to leave, they look at you and say, good luck. And that's really the truth. And so I would ask you to take advantage of not only this gentleman, but Chief Rivera, myself, and Corps. Send us a note or make our meetings. Come up. We have never had a full house, and a full house is only about 30 seats. However, you bring me 100 people, and I'll find a house for 100 people. We want Wave 2 not to be that tsunami that took out a land. Right now, we know that there's several units that are up against it and facing that. Just like that. Their 3-1 looks good. HHBN from 1CD doesn't. And there's various fielding groups that are coming about. And fielding group 8 is online. Fielding group 10 is lacking greatly. And then we're about to get at that day 300 for fielding group 11. So I would just ask you to nudge those individuals and say, these are the people to call to get some assistance. At least they know the contacts to get you in touch with. Thanks.
Just a caveat on what Mr. Hennessy just said. The 3rd Brigade here, who converts very soon, they had some challenges with their FE template structure. So what I'm going to do, we decided last week, I'm going to go down and have internal working groups with them to help them out, okay? It's not because I'm any smarter than any of those guys. Most of them know. There's certain things in there that I can give them some insight on that, maybe they don't know, okay? And I can do that for anybody here, whether you're first cab or not, okay? My boss, I don't think he's going to care because at the end of the day, we got to help each other out. And so, if there's anybody else, I'm not going to make anybody raise their hand up in here. But if you know about this system, like myself, Ms. Richardson over here, Mr. Hennessy knows a lot. Go help somebody, okay? Bring me down. I'll come down and learn as well, okay? But if you want to do that, I'm offering it here as well to come down and I'll help you with the tickets.
Okay, I'm Chief Rivera. I work at MSCG 434. My phone number is 254-288-9546. You can call me at 254-630-3665. 24/7, you can call me. That's myself. I have nothing better to do. You call me, I'll get you some help. Okay?
Anybody else, any other questions? Nothing, now's the time. Got some people in here that know, if you got SSA questions, we got one that might answer. Gentlemen, any remarks, sir?
Again, just want to kind of advertise again, if you have any questions. We've gone through a lot of stuff away with the first roll, so here's the truck. So if you got any questions, ask them then. We got the expert, Chief Kemp, was at the beginning of this process. He's our expert. He helped to, he probably can talk about this stuff all day long to you about it. So if you don't know what you're doing, this is non-attribution. And you can go ahead and ask those questions and get smart real quick. So when we leave here, we can kind of get ready to execute and start looking at our what stats we're in to move forward. So. Okay, last chance. All right. Hey, thanks for coming. Just for Chief Kemp. We got you guys an expert down here. Just want to thank you for coming and being available to give us some information. And we appreciate what you've done for us. I know we got this truck coming, it's all because of him. So we can't blame him. All we can do is use him as much as possible for this resolution. So thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thanks, CW2 PM. I will now have closing remarks from the Brigadier General Lyle.
Use mic. Because we're all three students. Sorry. Okay, everybody else. Okay, so you've asked quite a lot of questions, I guess. And if there are any others, then what is taken from that? So don't hesitate. And I reiterate what Stan's said about the uncontrolled groups. They're sensitive for your it's kind of offer evidence to help everybody else, to help the board to get through this. So encourage us to practice. Everything that I learned about this suggests that the investors can make other companies without it. And so, when I hear about units that are lagging behind, not just the strong upgrade themselves later on. And so, for instance, in John Robert's true statement, if you fail to reconcile the data on people using sounds, then it's the maintenance records that disappear on conversion, and you then have to do this trouble. Now you can just imagine how long that would take before each is page to cross that. So it might be a hassle to do this reconciliation up front, but it's nowhere near the hassle to reports after the event. You then have to do this trouble. All the records will be different. Loss and these records. So they're encouraged to make the investments up front. So I'll just conclude by thanking again Chief you for spending the time down here and sharing your wisdom. Also for offering to help the way we can help. Also to the technical which is fuel to the company. What we expect to us now is that when we do the conversion, it must be seamless. Yeah, there we are. Okay, thank you very much.
Please stand for the marker of the department. This concludes the third quarter GCSS on the LPD. Please up your area around yourself, your belongings.